Greetings, fellow travelers on the path to peace. Welcome to a moment of merit and wisdom from emptiness. Profound Buddhist teachings can be easily applied to daily life, creating real change. Have you ever wondered why, in this fast-paced world that dictates we constantly chase success, doing this and that being busy makes us seem more valuable and multitasking makes us seem more capable? The Buddha, the supreme being of wisdom, discovered the greatest truth of the universe simply by sitting quietly under a tree? Imagine this, while everyone else was frantically chasing after stocks and trying to solve life's problems, the Buddha chose to stop. He stopped all actions, all external pursuits, and simply sat down, as still as a human being could be. And in that seemingly insignificant stillness became the origin of the most profound wisdom, enabling him to unlock the secrets of suffering and achieve the highest potential of humanity. Why is simply sitting still considered the highest form of intelligence? What mechanisms does stillness hide that elevate our brains and minds to a new level? Today, we will decipher the secrets of the Buddha's stillness together. Before we delve into the stillness of the Buddha, I'd like to invite listeners to reflect on our daily lives. Today's society has shaped our belief that inactivity is laziness, that if we don't move, we won't progress. Therefore, we try to cram our schedules into activity from the moment we wake up. Picking up our phones to receive information. During our commutes, we listen to various stories. At work, we multitask. And even while eating, we still need our brains to be constantly thinking or processing information. We're led to believe that the harder we work our brains, the smarter and better problem solvers we become. But is that really true? Let's compare our minds. Imagine a clear glass of water with sediment at the bottom. Whenever we're busy, our thoughts wander, or we're constantly engaged in activities. It's like frantically stirring the water with a spoon. The harder we stir, the more the sediment stirs up, turning the once clear water cloudy and murky, making it impossible to see anything. When the water is cloudy, we can't see the bottom of the glass. Similarly, when our minds are agitated, we can't see the root cause of the problem. When we face serious problems in life and try to solve them with our confused and chaotic thoughts, it's like trying to find something precious in water. The more we try to solve it, the more complicated it becomes. The more we think, the more of a headache we get, because our brains, overloaded with information and stress, lose their ability to see the big picture and the reality of the situation. This is the norm created by society. We think that action is the answer. But sometimes aimless and frantic actions create new problems that overlap with existing ones. The Buddha was well aware of this fact. He had gone through everything: extreme asceticism, testing various beliefs and methods that the world at that time considered the best, but the result was emptiness and exhaustion. Until he decided to do something that went against all beliefs. To stop and be still. This is the most important turning point in human history. Now, the Buddha's definition of stillness is not. It's like dozing off while sitting, or letting your mind wander aimlessly like you do when you're resting. But it's a stillness that hides an inner awareness, a stillness that is incredibly powerful. To explain it simply, imagine how our mobile phones work. When we leave dozens of windows open simultaneously for an extended period, the device will slow down, lag, overheat, and eventually freeze completely. The best solution isn't to open more windows or repeatedly press buttons to force it back on. The method every technician recommends is to close all unnecessary windows or to restart the device, allowing the operating system to reorganize and free up memory. Our minds and brains work similarly. Every day, we receive hundreds of thousands, even millions, of pieces of information. And thoughts arise repeatedly. This information competes for processing space in the brain, causing brain fatigue, difficulty thinking, or making poor decisions. When the Buddha sat with his eyes closed, focusing on his breath, he drew all attention back to his body in the present moment. This was a process of shutting down the thoughts that were simmering in his head. Worries about the past, fears about the future, anger, greed, and delusion all heavily drain brain energy. When the Buddha sat like that, the noise in his head gradually quieted down. The space in his mind began to expand, and in this state of a mind free from turmoil, the brain entered its most efficient mode of operation. A person who embraces the truth without prejudice or expectations clouding their judgment is not a worthless emptiness, but an emptiness ready to receive profound wisdom, like a mirror that has been cleaned until it is clear, reflecting everything accurately and without distortion. Once we can create stillness and organize our minds to create space, what follows is miracle. This is the key secret code that explains why simply sitting still can make us the smartest people. When we are truly still, we are no longer just players frantically running around on the field of life. Stillness elevates us to become spectators sitting in the top tier of the stands. Imagine this. A person playing football amidst swirling dust and opponents running around can't see the big picture as well as someone watching from above. When our minds are calm, we withdraw from entanglement with problems. We don't let emotions get the better of us. Emotions become entangled with various events, allowing us to see the mechanisms of nature and life with clarity. We begin to see that anger is merely a passing state, and the suffering that grips the heart truly arises from our attachment and expectations. The Buddha used this empty space of stillness to observe the arising and ceasing of all things. He saw the intricate web of cause and effect, understanding that everything in the world is interdependent, that nothing arises in isolation, and that nothing lasts forever. This profound understanding at a fundamental level is true wisdom, a wisdom that is not superficial. Memorizing texts or engaging in analytical thinking with a chaotic mind is not enough. It must be based on clear insight through a calm and composed mind. Those who can remain calm are the ones who can accurately grasp the rhythm of life, knowing when to move forward and when to pause. Understanding which problems to tackle and which to let go of. In contrast, chaotic individuals may spend their lives chasing after endless problems. Those who are calm enough see a single critical point, act minimally, and achieve the greatest results. Therefore, intelligence in the Buddhist sense is not about possessing vast amounts of information, but about understanding the true nature of life. Accessing this enlightenment requires. The only key is stillness, and this is only the beginning of the secret hidden in tranquility. At this point, you, the listener, may be beginning to see how stillness creates space in the brain. But there is a deeper mechanism. When our minds are completely still, not distracted by the past or the future, what follows is the power of focus, or what we call in Buddhist terminology, meditation. Imagine sunlight shining on the ground at midday. Although the sunlight provides heat, it cannot ignite dry leaves. But if we use a magnifying glass to focus that sunlight, then adjust the focus so that all the light converges at a single point on the leaf. In just a short time, the immense heat that is concentrated will eventually render the leaf immobile. Our minds are similar. Normally, our mental energy is scattered in 100 directions, thinking about work, worrying about family, anger about the past. Our brain power becomes dispersed and weakened, unable to solve complex problems or see hidden truths. But when the Buddha sat still, he drew those scattered energies back together at a single point. His breath and the present moment. The previously weary mind then regained immense power. Like a magnifying glass that focuses the light of awareness, creating a brightness that successfully penetrates the wall of ignorance. When the mind is empowered through focused concentration, the consideration of any problem is no longer mere guesswork. but rather a penetrating insight into its essence, like light shining through the outer shell to reveal the inner structure. The intelligence born from this level of stillness is the ability to directly address the root cause of a problem, without wasting time plucking leaves one by one, but rather uprooting the tree of suffering completely. This is why people who appear outwardly still possess the most powerful mental energy within, capable of transforming understanding at a universal level. Beyond the power to penetrate truth, stillness bestows the most invaluable gift upon. For humans, that means freedom from being slaves to emotions. In our daily lives, have you ever noticed that when someone speaks unkindly to us, we tend to retaliate immediately? Or when things don't go our way, we instantly become irritated and agitated? This cycle of immediate reactions is what causes us so many mistakes. We hurt loved ones and ruin good opportunities in life simply because we can't control our impulses in that instant. The Buddha discovered that all human suffering arises from blindly following those emotions. But stillness acts as an emergency stop mechanism in life. When we train ourselves to be still until it becomes a habit, our awareness becomes sharper. When anger builds up in our hearts, instead of immediately exploding, stillness creates a small gap between the stimulus and our response. It is in this gap created by stillness that the highest level of intelligence is born. It is the split second when we can choose whether to let anger consume us and those around us, or we can simply watch it unfold and let it pass on its own without doing anything. Therefore, those who can be still are not emotionless or numb, but rather they are masters of their feelings. They are wise enough to. It means you don't need to respond to everything that comes your way. You don't need to bear every criticism. Sitting silently when emotional storms rage isn't weakness, but rather the greatest strength and grace, because you have conquered your most formidable enemy, your own impulsiveness. At this point, many might think that the stillness of the Buddha is only for monks or that one must flee into the forest to seclude themselves. Ordinary people who have to make a living and face competition might not be able to do it, but in reality, it's a natural thing that can be applied in every era. The more chaotic the world becomes, the more we need calmness. Imagine a whirlwind. Around the outer edges, the winds are incredibly strong, destroying everything in their path. But would you believe that the center of the storm, or what we call the storm seal, is the calmest area? There's no wind, no rain, just pure silence. Challenges constantly arise. Work, money, people. We cannot stop the world from spinning fast. We cannot command our bosses to be selective in their assignments, or order the economy to stagnate. But what we can do is create a storm within ourselves. We can apply stillness to every aspect of life. It starts simply with taking 3 deep breaths before typing a reply to someone who has annoyed you, or sitting quietly with your eyes closed on the bus before entering your workplace, or even walking mindfully, aware of each step while taking your lunch break. Simply incorporating these small moments of stillness into our daily routine is like continuously reorganizing and restarting our brains. We'll find ourselves coping with stress better, seeing solutions to problems that once seemed hopeless, and making important decisions with greater precision. This is how we utilize the Buddha's secret code of stillness. We remain in a chaotic world, we continue to perform our duties to the best of our ability, but we do so with a mind that remains steadfast in the midst of the storm. It's a wisdom in life that doesn't chase after others, but moves forward with stability and inner clarity. Stillness, therefore, is not weakness or surrender to the wheel of fate, rather, it is the pinnacle of wisdom a human being can possess. Instead of struggling to overcome overwhelming problems with chaotic thoughts, the Buddha chose to let go of everything and return to perfect inner stability. His stillness was a declaration of liberation from the shackles of all chaos. creating space for cosmic truth to manifest without any attempt at embellishment or distortion. When we look back at all the secret codes we have jointly deciphered from the beginning, we discover one amazing truth. The more we stop chasing the expectations of the external world, the more we progress and grow within ourselves. The more we reduce the pressure of surrounding noise, the more we grow. The clearer we hear the voice of the wisdom hidden within us, the more clearly we can hear it. Sitting still with complete awareness is therefore not a waste of time or effort. Rather, it is the accumulation of the purest energy, a process of sharpening the sword of mindfulness to cut through the suffering and ignorance that has long dominated our minds. Tomorrow, or even after you've finished listening to this story, when you must face the fast-paced world again, I invite you to imagine the scene under the Bodhi tree in your mind. You don't need to flee into the deep forest or abandon your responsibilities. Simply allow yourself to be still. Allow your brain and mind to rest from the burden of stress. Sit down, take deep breaths, and embrace the light and powerful emptiness. Ultimately, the answers to all of life's confusion may not be at the edge of the horizon or hidden in any thick book, but have always awaited us in our present moment. They await our cessation of external pursuits and our return to observing life with calm eyes. True wisdom isn't about chasing after information to know everything in the world, but about truly understanding one's own mind. And whenever you can be still enough, then emptiness will step in to bestow upon you the highest wisdom. And that concludes the Wisdom from Emptiness program. We hope that the Dharma stories we've discussed today will guide your heart back to your original, luminous mind. To avoid missing out on more virtuous practices that will guide you towards true faith guided by wisdom, and to discover the supreme refuge within ourselves every day.